From a superficial viewpoint, addiction might appear as simply a question of willpower, a harmful behavior that, with enough resolve, a person should manage to control if they truly desired to. But this perspective is not just overly simple, it is deeply flawed. Carl Jung, a profound explorer of the human mind, recognized that beneath every addiction lies an untold narrative, an existential emptiness, an unseen rift between who we are and who we yearn to become. Jung saw addiction not as a mere moral lapse, but as a deeply human, yet failed, effort to grasp something sacred. To him, the addict wasn't a weak or unkind individual, but someone disconnected from their inner core, from that essential force giving purpose and direction to life. Often attributed to Jung, the saying goes that no addict finds healing without a spiritual encounter. This statement captures brilliantly the notion that the root problem isn't the dependency, the behavior, or the substance itself, but what that dependency signifies within the person. A frantic quest for a deeper bond with existence. Frequently, the addict is unaware of what they seek. They only sense a persistent anguish, an inexplicable feeling of being incomplete, beyond words. That unease propels them to chase relief, even if just temporary, in something outside themselves. Things like alcohol, substances, gambling, food, or technology. The behavior or substance turns into a symbolic stand-in for what they genuinely desire, inner unity, meaning, a profound connection to something beyond themselves. Yet the relief proves short-lived. It calms for a few hours, perhaps days, but then the initial discontent resurfaces, stronger than before. This cycle repeats and intensifies. As the more one attempts to fill that void externally, the further they stray from the true root of their pain. For Jung, this pattern signals a soul in hunger, hungry for authenticity, for truth, for wholeness. Addiction then becomes a silent plea from the unconscious, crying out for meaning. In many ancient traditions, certain substances were used in sacred ceremonies, not to flee reality, but to forge a deeper link with the universe, the eternal, the divine. Today, in a society cut off from the spiritual and symbolic, those substances are often used without purpose or restraint, as if individuals unconsciously try to replicate a meaningful experience denied to them. Without a symbolic framework, without inner direction, that quest turns into a descent. The substance no longer expands the soul, but fragments it. Jung held that humans cannot thrive on reason alone. They require myths, images, symbols to shape their inner world. When these symbols vanish or lose meaning, the soul starts to wither. And when the soul weakens, it seeks healing however it can. In this view, addiction is a clumsy yet valid attempt to remedy that unseen pain. This perspective influenced early programs like Alcoholics Anonymous, where its founder, Bill Wilson, drew from a letter by Jung, who explained that the true antidote to addiction is spiritual transformation. It wasn't about enforcing willpower or rigid rules, but allowing something new to emerge within, a force to give life meaning, to reconnect with a lost center. From this angle, addiction isn't just a habit to fix. It's a sign, a symptom of a soul in crisis. And like any crisis, it holds opportunity, the chance to look beyond the surface, to turn inward, to embark on a path of self-discovery. Jung didn't talk of curing the addict in a conventional medical sense, but of guiding them to find what they sought in the wrong place. Their task wasn't merely to abandon a substance, but to rediscover themselves. The addict's suffering, though painful, reveals a vital truth. Within them, a life force still seeks something real. A pulse of hope for transcendence persists, buried under fear, confusion, and guilt. That hope fuels transformation. It's not punishment that changes someone, but meaning. and meaning emerges only when one hits rock bottom and sees life from a new depth. Many addicts speak of an unnameable emptiness, a sense that something is absent, though they can't say what. Jung saw this as the totality of the mind, the integration of all rejected, forgotten, or suppressed parts. What the addict truly craves isn't the substance, but what it stands for: comfort, belonging, strength, love, healing. Deep down, they seek to reconnect with an essential self, split off by trauma or pain. Here lies a key idea: addiction as a symbol. In Jung's view, symptoms aren't mere bodily errors, they're messages, unconscious expressions begging to be heard. Addiction speaks a meaningful, non-rational language, signaling an inner imbalance, something needing integration, understanding, acceptance. Not to excuse harmful acts, but to uncover their source and pave the way for true change. This view of the addict is neither patronizing nor idealistic. It's profoundly human, recognizing a story behind the pain, a symbol behind the habit, and a chance for transformation behind the symbol. Jung reminds us that what wounds us most can also teach us most, if we listen with open hearts. Addiction is not just a trap, it's a misdirected compass. Distorted, yes, but not useless, pointing to an unmet need for wholeness, a thirst for meaning that must be understood and redirected. Only when someone uncovers what they truly yearn for can they break free from what binds them. Often, those seeking relief through addiction don't do so consciously. They don't pause to examine deeper drives or fully grasp what compels them to repeat harmful patterns they know are harmful. A part of their being seems to act independently, overriding decisions, pulling them back to that dark place. This part, dwelling deep in the unconscious, Jung called the shadow, not a harmful force, but the sum of all a person has repressed. Impulses, emotions, memories, desires clashing with the self-image they wish to hold. What's repressed doesn't vanish, it transforms, and when not consciously addressed it finds other outlets, like addiction. At its heart, addiction signals an inner battle between the part seeking control, success, acceptance, and the hidden realm bearing unexpressed pain, denied sadness, repressed anger. Instead of facing this clash, the addict tries to mute it. But everything buried returns, stronger. The shadow won't be ignored, surfacing in weak moments, impulsive choices, acts against one's own good. Complicating this, the person often doesn't see they're fighting themselves, blaming the substance, temptation, or environment instead. Yet the real struggle lies within. One part yearns to release buried pain, another stifles, judges, hides it. This tension breeds an anxiety with no clear source, slowly eroding them. Even after quitting, many addicts feel empty, irritable, sad, confused why they're still unwell without the habit. The reason? The root isn't the substance, but what it silenced. As long as the shadow stays hidden, symptoms persist, shifting forms, alcohol to work, food to technology. Integrating the shadow isn't quick or easy. It demands courage, honesty, a deep wish to know oneself, to gaze unfiltered in the mirror, accept despised or feared parts, stop blaming the world, and explore what lies inside. On this path, addiction shifts from enemy to messenger, a symbol that something craves attention, understanding, change. This view doesn't dodge responsibility, not excusing addiction's harm, but tracing its cause to uproot it. When the shadow is faced consciously, it loses its grip. A truer bond with oneself begins, where impulses no longer rule unchecked. Often addiction ties to unprocessed past experiences, hurt, abandonment, shame, emotional lack, buried in the unconscious, fueling latent pain relieved by any means. The shadow holds these memories, influencing behavior even if forgotten on the surface. Repeated use becomes an unconscious dodge of that old pain. But the more one flees, the stronger the repressed grows. The shadow projects outward. The addict sees foes where none exist, distrusts bonds, feels caged in a hostile or uncaring world. In this skewed view, the cycle deepens. The more inner truth is cast outward, the farther healing slips. This process has a spiritual depth. Facing the shadow isn't just psychological, it's an act of surrender, an opening to deeper truth, recognizing light and dark within, both vital for wholeness. Addiction ceases to be a verdict when seen as an invitation to self-knowledge. That wisdom can't come from outside. No formula, advice, or trick replaces